The remnants of Typhoon Halong, they battered communities, coastal communities in Alaska a few days ago, displacing more than 1,000 people over the weekend. Joining us now to talk about the recovery efforts for these communities is Taylor Sawson with the American Red Cross. Taylor, can you explain a little bit on how this storm impacted the communities there?
Yeah, so when the remnants of Typhoon Halong hit the western coast of Alaska, it was quite devastating. We were seeing incredible storm swells that were just really inundating these small rural village communities with water. There were incredible wind gusts, of 100 miles plus, and on top of that, rain. So it's been very significant to about 40 plus villages across the western coast.
Oh, this has been one of the bigger responses to a disaster in Alaska for a number of years, for quite some time. How are the organizations mobilizing for this event? Is it difficult when these spots are so remote?
Yeah, so this is the largest disaster response we've had in our state since Typhoon Merbok in 2022. And what makes this disaster response especially difficult is that all of these villages that have been impacted are completely off the road system. So they're inaccessible by car, so you have to get there by plane or by boat. So unlike the lower 48, you can't just go a county or a state over to get to a hardware store to get the supplies that you might need to fix your home. You're having to rely on what is already there and what these disaster responders and other local responding agencies like the Red Cross can provide and ship up there. So that makes things a little bit more difficult, but at the Red Cross, we are prepared. We work year round to help these communities prepare for disasters just like this. And we're going to be doing everything possible to make sure that these communities receive the comfort and care that they need. What I will say about these communities is that they are incredibly resilient. They have been on these lands for since time in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have lived through storms like this. They will rebuild. They will be okay. But, we are just going in and doing what we can to offer that support, to offer that hand so that they know that they don't have to recover from this disaster on their own.
So what do the communities need now?
So another factor that makes this situation difficult is a lot of these villages rely on subsistence lifestyle. So they hunt, fish, and gather everything that they might need to sustain themselves through the winter. And that's their traditional lifestyles. And so dealing with power outages, dealing with floods, a lot of these stocks of food that they had ready to go for the winter, which is fast approaching here in Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
were wiped out. And so we're going to be working to provide some sort of non-traditional disaster response supplies to them, like fish drying racks, vacuum sealers, freezers, so that they can salvage what food they might have and, work really quickly in order to be able to, gather and fish what they can to sustain themselves through the winter.
So how can ordinary people help out the situation there?
Yeah, the quickest way to get assistance to these individuals that are impacted by this disaster and like many disasters across the United States, like floods, other floods, tropical storms, wildfires, and things like that, is to make a financial donation if you can. And you can do that by going to redcross.org, calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, or texting the word Red Cross to 90999.